Wall Street Journal reporter Jeff Zaslow says we have an entitlement epidemic on our hands, and he says he knows who to blame. So, Jeff, thank you for joining us, and can you give us some examples of this entitlement epidemic?
Yeah, in terms of who's to blame, I started out by writing a piece about Mr. Rogers, that he was to blame, and I heard from more than 1,000 readers and psychologists and educators. I mean, he said that kids were special. He kept telling them that. And he meant, you know, you got to work hard and you're special inside of you. But we as a culture took it and we just ran with it. And we made our kids too entitled. We indulged them.
Well, you talk about the roots of the problem, per se, and we have a graphic with them up. You say one of the problems is indulgent parenting. What's that?
That's the #1 parent. I mean, we do for our kids long after they can do for themselves. We're pouring their juice, and we're making their beds, and we're asking them too many. We're making them stressed out by saying, "What do you want to? Where do you want to go for dinner? What do you want to go? Where do you want to go on vacation?" We're doing too much, and I heard from a lot of professors who say, today, students will come up after class and say, "I don't like my grade," and they take out their cell phone and say, "My mom wants to talk to you. Here's the cell phone."
Oh, you're kidding!
Yeah, I've heard from several professors like that.
And the second root of the problem, you say, is the self-esteem movement. Is that everybody's a winner and educating the whole child and making you feel good about yourself?
Yeah, in 1986, the state of California, where a lot of this stuff starts, had a task force on self-esteem, and that's a good idea. Kids need to have self-esteem, but we went overboard with that, and the whole education system started to unravel in that way, where, you know, the educators and teachers were just telling kids you're wonderful just for being who you are, even if you got flunked the spelling test. And, you know, we have soccer teams where they don't keep score. The kids keep score in their heads, but we're trying to keep their self-esteem up. We're sort of lost sight of where we're going. And
the consumer culture, you say that's part of the problem too?
Yeah, every piece of our culture has gotten that way. I mean, Burger King, I heard from readers who said, Burger King, you know, decades ago started saying, "Have it your way." So then we all think we deserve the pickles we want on our hamburgers. Well, you know, it's okay if the pickle you wanted doesn't come on your hamburger. You can live through it, but we've bred our children, and now they're in the workforce where they need to be praised and celebrated too. You know, the 20-somethings in the workforce, and it's our fault as parents.
But let me ask you, when they get into the workforce, you would think the real world would kind of smack them in the face and kind of give them a dose of reality. But you're saying maybe that's too late to learn some of those life lessons?
Well, it's a problem for industry today, because there's a lot of companies now that they're trying to figure out, how do I deal with these kids that got all these soccer trophies when they were young? And I found companies where they give out trophies, they throw confetti. One company, 25 pounds of confetti each week that they throw at their employees to keep them feeling good about themselves.
Oh, my.
So they even have a celebrations assistant who walks around throwing confetti. So I don't know if 20-somethings need that. What they really need is to be told how they're doing, but they're so used to it. And the employers, again, it's the baby boom generation now running corporate America that thinks, how do we deal with these kids? And that's what they do.
A celebration consultant. I may have just heard it all now. But you know what? I was just thinking as you're talking now that it sounds like this may be a little bit of the problem in Hollywood, too, for all these young starlets who find themselves in big trouble because they think the world should be handed to them, perhaps.
And the culture of entertainment that we're giving kids is also at fault. That MTV show, My Super Sweet 16, you know, that's just, who's entitled to that? Nobody, but our children are watching that stuff. And I mean, Facebook and MySpace, it's a lot of kids looking at themselves and feeling entitled to all these things that and it's our fault as you don't blame, you can't exactly blame the kids, but we have to look at all this stuff. And as you say, you know, Paris and Lindsay, and I mean, our kids are rolling their eyes at that stuff, but that's an entitled generation, you know, lost and out of control.
All right, thank you, Wall Street Journal reporter Jeff Zaslow, who we think is special because he earned it.
Oh, well,
thank you for being with us today.